A night I'll never forget. DXM, a trip report containing 2,400 milligrams of DXM, shared by Professor X on erowid.org, October 25th, 2020. I will start out by saying that I am a very foolish man. Also, I'm glad to be alive to tell this tale. My first mistake was in measuring the amount of DXM I was to take on this particular night. The previous night, I took 500 milligrams of DXM, and it made me feel all funky and a little weak in the legs. So I thought that tonight I'd up my dosage up to 1,000 milligrams, and since the lethal dose of DXM is 2,500 milligrams, I thought that'd be fine with just 1,000. Also, I have friends that have taken doses of 1,300 milligrams, and they've all been fine. I found some 250 milligram capsules of penicillin, so I emptied some of these out and filled them up with DXM. I figured that 4 would equal 1,000 milligrams, right? Wrong. The weight of each substance is different. I forgot to take this into account when I packaged this dosage up, so at exactly 9 PM, I took the 4 capsules, which each equaled roughly 600 milligrams. At 9:30, I started feeling it. At first, when it came on, I felt all funky, the feeling I get before I trip on acid, and then walking began to become very difficult. So I decided to get off my computer and head up to my bedroom. In my room, I noticed that my dexterity in my fingers was greatly hindered. It was hard to secure a good grip on most objects. After fiddling around with my radio for a good 10 minutes trying to get it to work, I figured that it wasn't worth all the hassle, and I got it through my mind that I wasn't going to be able to fix it. So I figured that this night was going to have to come to an end by sleeping off the DXM, or so I thought. I made my way to my bed and removed my glasses. I thought that at least I'd still be able to see some pretty cool closed-eye visuals. Well, it was now around 10:15 PM, and I was getting sick of waiting for this drug to kick in. So I went to sleep thinking that everything would be alright. To my surprise, I awoke not 12 hours later in the morning, but rather about an hour later, sometime after 11 PM. At this time, I could tell the drug was coming into effect. My room did not seem like it normally did. I could just sense that something was different. With all lights out, I could still see most of my room, except the room wasn't covered by dark black shadows like it normally is. My whole room seemed to be a colour of dark purple. I thought this to be very odd. And then I noticed this feeling I had inside my head. A rather inebriated feeling. It was as if I had just drank 15 beers. I was almost paralysed, hardly unable to make a move on my bed. When I looked at the clock, it was a big red blur. I needed to get within a few inches of it to tell the time, and even then, it was still blurry. I then tried to go to sleep by closing my eyes and burying my head into my pillow. Well, I did go to sleep, and when I awoke a half an hour later, I did not like the sights I saw. I was plagued with horrendous open and closed eye visuals, the kind I would only seem to get by eating endless sheets of acid. However, I did not freak out, for I do have a good of mind. Even though all this madness was going on around me, I remembered that I was really laying on my bed, safe and sound in my house. Everything that I saw seemed to be cartoon animated, like the movie Beavis and Butthead Do America, the part where they are in the desert and they are hallucinating. The madness never seemed to end. When I would close my eyes and try to sleep, it was as if my eyelids were transparent. The hallucinations still proceeded. There was no use trying to stop any of this, for I knew that I was in for the longest night of my life. This one hallucination that I remember vividly was I was strapped to my bed, and my bed was on this pole. I slid down the vertical pole into a dark abyss that never seemed to end. Then the bed became horizontal, and I arrived at an area that was inhibited by all these flames, all orange in colour. After staying there for quite some time, the bed became vertical again, and once again we slid down the pole. Then we stopped at another area, and the bed turned horizontal again. Now I was in an area that surrounded me by these huge sheets of ice. Everything was cartoon animated, so this seemed like something out of a Mario video game. The rest of the night consisting of seeing hallucinations and getting knocked out. then coming to and seeing more hallucinations, and then getting knocked out again. I can remember the sequence because each time I came to, I stuck my head up and looked around my room that was still the purplish colour. I then laid back down and closed my eyes, and I saw stars. And then the stars would group together and swirl around, and then I would get knocked out again. Well, I thought this would go on forever, and I had reached hell. When 4 p.m. rolled around and I noticed hardly any change, I decided to have my friend take me to the ER. Well, I spent 24 hours there and they had an IV in me to hydrate myself, and I seemed to be getting better, so the hospital let me go the following day. As I write this story, it's the night of the 5th day of my recovery. I'm still feeling the drug. The symptoms are slowly going away. Will they all disappear? I'm not sure. I hope to God that they do, but I cannot be sure yet. Right now, I have a feeling in my head as if I drank a few beers. No, not 15 like before, and parts of my body are still numb. As I said, it comes and goes, the numbness that is. Each time it comes back with one less additional symptom. I pray every night that tomorrow when I awake, I will be just like before I took this horrible drug, and my life will then be the same.